It is Monday, June 1st, 2026. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. I'm your host, Watchful. Over this weekend, the world saw continued high-stakes diplomacy in the Middle East, ongoing conflicts, domestic enforcement clashes here at home, and persistent economic pressures on American families. Let's break it down cleanly and honestly. We began overseas negotiations to extend or finalize the ceasefire in the 3-month U.S. Iran conflict remain active but stalled. President Trump reviewed a draft framework and has said the sides are close to a very good arrangement at times. However, key disagreements persist. Trump reportedly sent tougher terms, strict limits on Iran's nuclear program, no nuclear weapon, destruction of enriched material, full reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, and other security guarantees. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth emphasized that the U.S. military stands ready to resume strikes if needed, with ample stockpiles. With ample stockpiles. Iran has pushed back, calling the demands excessive and accusing the U.S. of undermining diplomacy. No final deal has been reached. I kind of thought with what we studied on Friday regarding Savan 15 that at the bare minimum we would reach an agreement, but so far nothing really is coming of that, other than maybe we're in the final year. So continue to pay attention. Allies continue to express confusion over the mix of diplomatic signals, threat, and military readiness. We'll keep watching this one closely. Peace through strength remains the approach. Israeli forces made significant advances in southern Lebanon this weekend, seizing the strategically important Beaufort Castle and moving to encircle Nabatea. Prime Minister Netanyahu called this a major shift that could accelerate operations. Hezbollah responded with rockets and drones targeting northern Israel, leading to interceptions, school closures, and heightened security. Casualties reported on both sides. Over in Gaza, Israeli strikes continued, including a deadly incident at a seaport cafe. Settler violence was also reported in the West Bank. Over 1,000 Palestinians from Gaza remain in Israeli detention without charge. These developments show the fragile nature of ceasefires in the region. Russia and Ukraine continued trading attacks with fresh drone and missile strikes. A Russian drone crashed into a residential building in Romania, prompting strong condemnation from Romanian officials. Russia pushed back dismissively. President Zelensky again called for stronger Western air defenses. China's growing diplomatic role in both Ukraine and the Middle East remains noteworthy. Now, turning to the domestic news here in America, Delaney Hall protests. So over the weekend, protests erupted outside the Delaney Hall ICE detention facility in Newark, New Jersey. About 300 detainees launched a hunger and labor strike alleging poor conditions. ICE and the operator GEO group rejected those claims, stating that detainees receive adequate meals, medical care, and due process, and described the action as politically motivated. Local Democratic officials, including Governor Mike Sherrill and Newark Mayor Ross Baraka, joined or supported the protests and have long records of opposing strict immigration enforcement. Clashes occurred involving tear gas, arrests, and counter-protesters supporting enforcement. To many Americans, this reflects deeper frustration. Years of strained resources in blue cities, stories of welfare fraud, crime concerns, and officials appearing to prioritize non-citizens over citizens and lawful order. Enforcement actions under the current administration have started reducing crossings. That progress matters to many who are watching. Let's see. Over the Memorial Day holiday, travel highlighted ongoing inflation pressures. Consumer prices rose to 3.8% in April, with elevated costs for gas, groceries, travel, and more. Families continued feeling the pinch despite stock market performance and certain policy wins. Affordability remains a top household concern heading into summer. President Trump signed an executive order directing a review of childhood vaccine schedules, emphasizing parental choice, religious liberty, and alignment with practices in peer countries. Discussions continue on non-disclosure agreements for federal employees to improve information security. Moving on to an aviation incident, a United Airlines flight from Chicago to Minneapolis diverted safely after an unruly passenger tried to breach the cockpit. No injuries. The passenger was detained. And in closing, a few quick additional notes. Congress remains in recess mode with no major legislative breakthroughs. On the Trump-Elon Musk front, tensions from recent weeks appear ongoing, with public disagreements over budget and policy matters making headlines. Their past collaboration on government efficiency remains part of the broader conversation in Washington. We'll continue to monitor those developments. These stories remind us of a world in tension, diplomacy and deterrence abroad, rule of law, and economic realities here at home. So what is it that's standing out for you right now? Go ahead and drop your thoughts and comments in the chat so we can talk about it this evening. And meanwhile, we're going to move over to the Daily Torment Report, where we cover the posts and prophecies of the two men who are really front and center in the world, standing before the Lord of the whole earth, speaking truth, tormenting and irritating half of the world, Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Through shadows deep, through bitter years, I see your strength, I see your tears, the weight of loss, the trials fire, still you rise, reaching higher. They pressed you down, they closed you in, but you endured, you would not bend. Through fleeting wealth and fleeting pain, you held your ground, you bore the strain. Hold on, the dawn will break. Through every storm, through every ache, though the world may take its toll, they can't touch your unbroken soul.
All right, moving on. We're going to start today with Donald Trump, see what he's got to post. So posted it an hour ago. He said, I had a conversation with Bibi Netanyahu today, asking him not to go into a major raid of Beirut, Lebanon. He turned his troops around. Thank you, Bibi. I also had a conversation with representatives of the leaders of Hezbollah, and they agreed to stop shooting at Israel and its soldiers. Likewise, Israel agreed to stop shooting at them. Let's see how long that lasts. Hopefully it will be for eternity. Boy, that's an interesting word. President Donald J. Trump. Does anybody else notice like a progressive use of biblical language and like end times language coming from Donald Trump? I wonder why that is. Because it used to be that people were like, I could never see Donald Trump as being one of the two witnesses or a prophet or doing any good for anybody anywhere because I don't like him. And now they're like, I can see it. I have a whole collage of people praying over him and him talking about his religious beliefs and his upbringing. I think people just haven't really paid attention to him. They kind of only see the things that go viral, and that's how they form their opinions on him. Anyway, minds are changing. They seem to be changing. Anyway. All right, moving on. 4 hours ago, under Hussein Obama, dirty, stingy, stinky, nasty swamp. Under Trump, beautiful birds and clean. I'm surprised it's not blue. All right. Talks are continuing at a rapid pace with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. I was kind of hoping that something would happen yesterday, since it's a day that marked a jubilee, from what I understand. I don't know. It still kind of calls into question the Book of Jubilees, which this is something we'll probably talk about again. Is the Book of Jubilees, does it contain truth? There's people who dismiss it. It has a completely different calendar, and that's kind of what we were looking at on Friday. Is the solar calendar that the Essenes use. Where are we going here? There. That the Essenes use for calculating end time events. And yesterday was an important day. It was one that I'm pretty sure that I've heard teachings on it before. I think that's why the date sat with me. I've looked into calendar dates quite a lot. In my studies since really 2000. I'm pretty sure that I have heard different calendars. I know there's, who I probably heard it from? There's that one guy, he's really into the Jubilee calendar, and he's constantly posting updates. I'm surprised I didn't actually go listen to his channel. Anyway, we'll come back. We'll swing back around to that once I have a chance to go see if he posted anything on it. But he, of all people, may have actually posted. Now you got me thinking if I should go look. Yeah, let's just stick to Donald Trump's posts. But suffice it to say, nothing that I could find really happened. So it's supposed to be a day when the grain offering is offered up. So maybe, I don't know what I was expecting. We'll come back around and talk about it a little bit more after we get through these posts. All right, I had a very productive call with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. Did I already read this? 6 hours ago. So this is a different one. This was posted an hour ago. This was posted 6 hours ago. Had a very productive call with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu of Israel, and there will be no troops going to Beirut, and any troops that are on their way have already been turned back. Likewise, through highly placed representatives, I had a very good call with Hezbollah, and they agreed that all shooting will stop, that Israel will not attack them, and they will not attack Israel. President Donald J. Trump. All right, moving on. Has anyone ever seen a happy Democrat? President Donald J. Trump. I've been noticing that about there's certain people that are just perpetually miserable. Depression is almost like an epidemic now among some people. There's just a lot of people that are depressed, which these are part of the end times. On both sides too. There's people, and I've seen this in conversations that I've had about end time events. There's people who are depressed that things aren't going the way that they expected them to go. There's people who are depressed because of just the state of the world, and they're confused and they don't understand the spiritual, which is happening. There's a lot of fear that I've noticed in my conversations and just in general from people. But this is a transitionary period, and all of those things are to be expected. And in fact, a lot of those things are even talked about as part of the signs for the end times. So, yeah, especially for the Democrats. Have you ever seen a happy Democrat? Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I have. Obviously, this is Donald Trump trolling. But he makes a valid point, is right now there's a lot of people who are unhappy. especially with him, because they don't understand the moves that are spiritually happening behind the scenes. All right, moving on. 18 hours ago, Iran really wants to make a deal, and it will be a good one for the USA and those that are with us, but don't the Democrats and various seemingly unpatriotic Republicans understand that it is much tougher for me to properly do my job and negotiate when political hacks keep negatively chirping at levels never seen before over and over again that I should move faster or move slower or go to war or not go to war or whatever. Just sit back and relax. It will all work out well in the end. It always does. President Donald J. Trump. Nice. Chill out, everybody. Just sit back and let me do my job. All right. So this is from yesterday. Welcome home to Justo Benacourt, whose daughter Ariane fought very hard to free her father from alligator Alcatraz. Enjoy your freedom together. President Donald J. Trump. Fake news CNN said today routinely that my Iran nuclear deal doesn't talk about nuclear when actually it states very clearly that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. It then goes on in very strong and lengthy detail to discuss various other aspects of nuclear. In fact, that's what most of the agreement is about. CNN and so many others in the fake news media is a low ratings disaster. Even with new ownership, it is unlikely to even get better. President Donald J. Trump. Let's see. The New York Times wrote a story today entitled "The Trump Administration Sees Striking Exodus of Legal Talent," as though that's a bad thing, when actually it's very good. The people that are leaving are radical left deep state lunatics who are destroying our country and weaponizing government. Many of them didn't leave but were fired. The failing New York Times writes this but makes it sound like it's a terrible thing when actually it's just the opposite. We want people that will make America great again, not people that are trying to destroy our country. That were put in by Obama and Biden, and in many cases, they shouldn't have been representing the USA in the first place. Let them go on to bigger, better, and brighter things in the future. I fully support that and wish them all well. President Donald J. Trump. News article. Let's see what we got here. A picture of Trump at a banquet. Save America Act. Voter ID, proof of citizenship, no mail-in ballots. Aw. Congratulations to Congressman Gus Bilirakis, a great guy. He's MAGA all the way. His first grandchild. Aw. That almost looks like a little grown-up human. So, such distinct features. All right. The drone port at the White House ballroom will be perhaps the most sophisticated anywhere in the world. It will safeguard our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., long into the future. Judge Richard Leone should stop playing games with America's security. If anything happens, he will be held responsible for the death and destruction caused to our country. He has already created enough problems by allowing top-secret information to be released and exposed based on a ridiculous lawsuit started by a highly litigious woman, serial plaintiff, who's strolling, in her opinion, will be disturbed by the new, desperately needed structure. In any event, a woman who has absolutely no standing with the advent of highly sophisticated and powerful modern-day weaponry, we can no longer defend Washington, D.C. with rifles and pistols alone. This ridiculous lawsuit must be dismissed immediately. President Donald J. Trump. Yeah, and it seems like they should probably, come up with a new plan now that top secret information has been revealed. How could they possibly allow a lawsuit to leak sensitive national security information? That's ridiculous. All right, anyway, I am pleased to announce that United States Ambassador to Turkey, Tom Barrack, who has done an outstanding job, will be named Special Presidential Envoy to Syria and likewise Special Presidential Envoy to Iraq as we advance our strategic cooperation with the governments of Syria and Iraq. Our relationship with them continues to grow. Tom will remain ambassador to Turkey and operate with the full backing of the United States Department of State. We greatly appreciate the work that Tom Barrack has done and his continued willingness to serve our country. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. All right, after spending this week reviewing the Iranian war, I am now convinced so this is from Newt Gingrich. I think we read this on Friday. Yeah, after spending this week reviewing the Iranian war, I'm now convinced President Trump is on the edge of a historic victory. The real breakthrough for me came as I reviewed President Trump's decisions and maneuvers, not from the standpoint of American unilateralism, but from the standpoint of the leader of a remarkable historic coalition. Yeah, we read this on Friday. Are we really through his weekend post? No, that just somehow. Oh, he just re-truthed it again. I was gonna say. Normally, he's got a lot to say on the weekends. So this is for January 6th. We write in support of a full unconditional. Man, reading words today is on the glitch. All right. We write in support of a full and unconditional presidential pardon for Republican Congressman Stephen E. Buyer, retired from Indiana. As you know, Congressman Buyer served as a highly productive member of Congress for 18 years. During his service, he honorably chaired the House Veterans Affairs Committee. His dedication to veterans led him to 2005 to champion the passage of the Mission Act, which opened the VA health delivery system to bring health care near to where veterans live. He also focused heavily on traumatic brain injuries sustained in combat, which ultimately led the military to change the liners of the combat helmets. He also created the healthcare system TRICARE for life for military retirees. During his service as a member of Congress, Congressman Buyer served as a House impeachment manager during the impeachment of President Bill Clinton. He raised serious concerns regarding actions taken by President Clinton and Hillary Clinton, both prior to President Clinton's time in office and during his presidency in 2000. In 2000, he was a leader in defending the overseas military voting rights that were being disenfranchised by the Gore-Lieberman team in the Florida recount. Prior to his congressional service, Congressman Buyer, a distinguished military graduate of the Citadel, served 30 years as a U.S. Army officer in both active duty and reserve assignments. He is a veteran of the First Gulf War and was awarded the Bronze Star by Lieutenant General Gus Pagonis, commander of all theater logistical support operations. He was promoted to colonel in the Oval Office by President George W. Bush. Later, Colonel Steve Buyer was awarded his career. So what happened? In March 2023, at the behest of the Department of Justice under President Biden, Congressman Buyer was convicted of insider trading by a jury in Manhattan federal court. He was sentenced to... Next page, please. Here. Come on, zoom in. There we go. To 22 months imprisonment. He served his sentence and was released from the Bureau of Prisons on February 3rd, 2025. Congressman Buyer maintains his innocence. The Constitution grants you, as the President of the United States, the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States. The first principle of the Constitution in the preamble, where framers sought to form a government that would serve the interests of justice. We support granting Congressman Steve Buyer a full and unconditional presidential pardon. Congressman Beyer has served our country in the military and in Congress with honor and integrity. Making America great again requires us to work together to restore our country's core values. Bringing justice to Congressman Beyer through a presidential pardon is a noble endeavor in this effort. Well, that is very sweet. I had no idea that happened. Didn't pay attention to that. Doesn't surprise me. So how many of these did he do? Is this another one? We, the undersigned, request a full presidential pardon of retired Congressman Colonel Steve Beyer. Okay, this is the same thing. Like you, Mr. President, Steve has been the victim of a lawfare. Okay, so these are letters requesting a pardon? Dear Mr. President, yes. Yeah. We appreciate your leadership, Mr. President. Your pardon will send the signal of your steadfast commitment. Okay, so a lot of people really wanted his pardon. So I assume that by Trump posting this, counter to the failing New York Times on the fake reflecting pool story, it will be magnificent. Okay, so I'm assuming that based on this being posted here that he's going to grant the pardon, or is this the actual granting of the pardon? We write in support. Yeah, so they're support letters. Okay. Cool. Alrighty. All right. Counter to the failing New York Times on the fake reflecting pool story. It will be magnificent. Come on, Zoom. From Doug Burgum. So he's in charge of the interior, I believe. Here's a follow-up for POTUS on the expansion joints at the reflecting pool. We will be sharing photos and videos of the expansion joints with you later today. And we are also addressing the fake news as we speak. The final materials for the expansion joint. Okay, so it's enough for me to know that they're addressing the fake news. What is this? I'm pleased to announce the United States Ambassador to Turkey, Tom Barrick. We already read that. I don't know why that one keeps coming up time and time again. Articles. All right, the results of my physical examination taken at Walter Reed Military Medical Center and just released were extremely good. Unlike other U.S. presidents, none of whom have ever taken and approved highly difficulty cognitive test. I scored a perfect 30 out of 30. Considered extreme intelligence. Are the Democrats really surprised? In fact, this is my fourth such test. All perfect, or 120 correct answers out of 120 questions asked. It is very rare that anyone gets a perfect score, especially when achieved 4 times in a row. All people running for president and vice president should be forced to take high difficulty cognitive tests. Congress and the Democrats should demand it. He keeps calling them Democrats. Oh, my goodness. All right. So from E. Jean Carroll has accused 7 men in the past of sexually assaulting or raping her. Not one police report exists of any of these incidents. George Conway and Reid Hoffman found a habitual liar to attack Trump. Indeed.
She is accused of babysitting. Credibility is nowhere to be found. She is accused a babysitter's boyfriend, a dentist, a camp counselor, an unnamed college date, an unnamed boss, and CBS chief Les Moonves of either sexually assaulting or raping her in the past.
Wow. This is cool. Is that an SR-71? B-2 bombers? I didn't know that thing was still in service. Might have been something else. Very cool. Is that the envoy that constantly travels with him? Wouldn't surprise me. All right, what do you got to say, Mark? Oops.
Wise man on the program, Victor Davis Hanson, is a good friend, Hoover Institution senior fellow. He's got a great podcast as well. Thanks for coming, Victor. So let me ask you this question.
Thank you.
If you can put yourself in the shoes of the Iranian regime, how do you think they're looking at this right now?
Well, we don't know because this is a very unusual war. We have no ground troops, no embedded reporters. We don't know the extent of damage, but it seems to me that they have been economically devastated, and 90% of their military is inert. But they have enough missiles, they think, and the Gulf states are so vulnerable, they think, that, and the Straits of Hormuz are so that traffic is a fragile entity that they can cause havoc and then delay the process, maybe hope for a global recession, and drag it out until the midterms. They also are playing a very strange game. They're giving signals that the people talking to us, the quote-unquote elected leaders, that they are at odds with the Revolutionary Guard. And we don't know because we've eliminated so many people if that's true, but you get the sneaking suspicion that they are the good cops and the Revolutionary Guard and the theocrats that every once in a while try to take out a carrier or hit the Kuwaitis or somebody. They're the bad cops, but they actually work in unison. And then the negotiators say to us, well, we can't control these people. We're sorry. We don't know what they're doing in the Gulf, laying mines and everything, but don't ruin the negotiations. And then that gives each of them credibility, I guess, against their competition for power. But at some point, we have to stop it. And there's a lot of ways to stop it, Mark, because militarily it's not a problem. It's a political problem. And it involves the world economy and the midterms and everything. But I think that the president can find a way to kind of square that circle. If he tells them informally there's going to be a deadline to this nonsense, and you're going to regret it, and we're going to do enough damage to your economy and your military that it's going to take you a quarter century to recover, and we're going to leave a residual force that's going to keep that strait open along with the allies. And then I think he can say that to them, because we can't continue to do this, because they interpret survival with victory. I know that sounds Orwellian, but they do. Every day that they're still there, they say, see, we took on the superpower of civilizational history, and we're still here, and they couldn't stop us. Mm-hmm. And they give no context that all of our restraint is self-imposed on us. It's humanitarian, it's political, but it's not military. And we don't have to use, great weapons. We can defeat them from the air as we were doing. But we've lost about almost 2 months' time in these negotiations. Mm-hmm. And they interpret that as, and they look at magnanimity on our part as weakness to be exploited, Mark, not as magnanimity or kindness to be reciprocated. That's just the way they do. And you can't believe anything they say, because they don't believe it's a lie. They think it's a strategic advantage not to tell the truth. So it's.
Yeah, and along those lines, I have a post that I want to read, which I can't show it on the screen for some reason. Here, I'll show you. Let me copy this. For some reason, on this little screen, it disappears. See? I think I found a bug. And X, on certain screen sizes, long posts disappear. So I'm just going to read it from, it's from this account, CX So here I'm going to read this so you can just listen, because it's along the lines of what's going on in Iran. So this is from somebody in Iran. Fury sent me this. Thank you, Fury. As an Iranian who stayed connected through Starlink during the blackout and chaos of the war, and now reunited with my compatriots online, I want to wholeheartedly confirm what President Trump has long understood and continues to show he knows. The Iranian people want to be free. They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. Trump said this during the height of the war. For 47 years, my people have endured systematic torture, rape, murder, humiliation, anxiety, suppression, and grief under the Islamic Republic. It's been a long, grinding suffering, punctuated by brutal spikes, like the January protests, mass executions, and the recent war. The world has no idea of the scale or depth of these horrors. Only when this evil regime finally falls will the full truth pour out, in quality and quantity that will shock humanity. We have now reached a point where almost no cost is too great if it rids us of this regime, because the cost of it staying in power is infinitely higher. And this is to his point about their liars and deceivers, and even just survival they count as victory, which it's interesting that Trump has allowed so much time for these negotiations. Back to the post. Trump himself said he knows what we have gone through, but he is saying now that he is in no hurry to reach a deal. That's fine. But he knows better than anyone that now is the time to act to finish this regime once and for all. Like he just said in the attached video about the Iran negotiations, it's time to finish the job. If you're reading this and you can't understand how any Iranian could feel relief at strong action, even if it means no quick deal or more pressure on the regime, I envy you. You have never lived what we have lived. You have never watched your people, friends, family, and loved ones get tortured, raped, or killed almost daily and over half a century. You have never seen an entire nation slowly but brutally suffocated like this. This reminds me of the Great Tribulation. Like, these people are at that point, how much longer, Lord, until vengeance is served on the what's the wording of seal number 5? Until vengeance is till judgment is dished out. That's not a quote. Obviously. All right. You have never seen an entire nation slowly but brutally suffocated like this. We tried every alternative imaginable. Massive protests, dissent, peaceful reform, negotiations, everything. None of it worked. The regime's answer has always been bullets, gallows, and more terror.
We're making a great deal. We're going to make a great deal. Other, we'll just go back and...
Let me pause that video. Whatever happens next, if there is still an Iran left to save, and this regime is gone, the Iranian people will be happy with the result, no matter the cost. Because the cost of the regime remaining is higher, and for many of us, death itself is preferable to another day under this nightmare. This is the true sentiment of the majority of Iranians, the voice of a people who often have no internet, no platform, and no way to be heard. The world will soon understand why we say anything to be free, anything to end this evil. So I wanted to share that with you guys because it kind of goes hand in hand with what he's sharing on this show here in regards to the regime. They just have to be completely and totally annihilated, because just the mere fact of survival they count as success, and they will continue doing what it is that they are doing, and the Iranian people won't be free. I expect that that's probably part of the problem with the delay in the negotiations, and I can only speculate at this point how it's going to end.
It's difficult to negotiate with them.
Let me ask you this question, Victor. In some ways, every war is different. We understand that. But in World War II, we required victory. We required that the Japanese surrender. We required victory. We wanted it over once and for all. It was the same thing with Germany. Italy was destroyed, and so forth and so on. Obviously, tremendous amounts of damage to the civilian population, to industry, to communities, just massive throughout Europe and so forth and so on. In this case, there's a lot of pressure, and a lot of people I hear saying that we can't have a victory per se. We've got to figure out how to contain them. We've got to come up with an agreement that's enforceable. And so, from your perspective as a historian, I'm curious what you think. It's possible in the short term, I'm sure, But is it possible in the midterm and the long term to contain them? We have to take a break. As soon as we come back, that's my question to you. We'll be right back. Welcome back, America. Victor Davis Hanson. So does victory against Iran look different than victory, say, against Germany, Japan, Italy, and so forth?
Yeah, it does a little bit, because in the post-war era, we're in the era of nuclear weapons, so there's always a restraint that you can't escalate with enough damage to humiliate the enemy and ensure that he'll never again make war against you and change the government, as we did to a certain extent in Korea, but certainly in World War II. And then we're a therapeutic culture, so in an age of global communications, you miss a target and there's a CNN reporter right there saying you're a war criminal, or the International Criminal Court might indict you if you miss an artillery strike target. So there's all sorts of self-imposed restraints. But that said, human nature doesn't change, Mark, and you turn military victory into strategic resolution by making it impossible for the enemy to continue the war. You can do that by changing the government. You can do that by destroying their economy and making them, but it's more periodic rather than final. In a sense, everything is periodic. You never really ever defeat some. You try to win them over to our cause. I think that's what the president is doing. He's saying that we're going to hurt their economy to a certain extent, that they won't be able to make war, even if we don't have to be there with this full force. And we're going to try to destroy their military capability for 10 years. And then we're going to set in motion enough chaos that they won't be able to fund Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, or rebuild this maybe a $500 billion loss of 50 years in their military-industrial nuclear complex. We're going to make that very difficult politically for them. So if they start using all of their new money, if the blockade ever, and they start investing in the same old, the people are going to rise up. And, it's not a crazy thought. The Berlin Wall fell, and it was 2 years before the Soviet Union collapsed, and weeks, but often months for the rest of the Warsaw Pact to collapse. So I think the president thinks he's setting in motion the humiliation of this regime and making them have a lose-lose choice to either rebuild and use, when it's over, rebuild, and then if they do, they're going to alienate the people even further. So there's ways to get around these self-imposed restraints.
Yeah, my only problem with some of that is, number one, they don't have a nuclear weapon, so we don't have to fear that from them, thanks to what the president has done. And number two, they're already pushed.
I am still fully expecting some kind of a nuclear exchange, just because it's part of end times where something happens to where they need specialists and to mark the locations of bones for 7 years. So to me, that indicates nuclear. So question is does Iran already have a nuclear weapon? Or does somebody else do nuking on their behalf? Or does somebody else nuke something? Watching out for that.
Pushing the Hezbollah to continue doing what Hezbollah is doing. And number three, the Houthis have been completely untouched. And number four, Communist China and other bad actors out there, I suspect they're going to want to help Iran, especially when President Trump leaves. And if they see a weak Democrat as president, perhaps like an Obama or Biden, I think they're going to make their run for the finish line, or to do more in terms of very negative activity to us and to the Middle East. And plus their ideology is, they think, from Allah. Your last word.
Yeah, well, that's a problem. And we've had four administrations, and the Russians invaded Ukraine, and three of them are their neighbors in Ossetia, with Bush, Obama, and Biden, but not during Trump. So if he can reestablish deterrence, at least for 2 years, I think he can quiet. The Chinese are not in a good position vis-a-vis where they were 2 years ago. Russia is not. They've lost their toehold or their clients in Venezuela and Syria and now Iran. China's hurting. We're ascendant, but we just have to manage that a little better, I think, and wrap this up. If we wrap this up, then the further problems won't escalate. And we saw that with the bombing last June, and we saw it with Venezuela, we saw it with Panama. That creates momentum. But if we get stalled in negotiations, then the people come out of the woodwork and try to take advantage, but not a strong show in Iran. That will be really deterrent.
Yeah, hopefully he just takes out the regime. That's my hope. See, watch my interview with my fantastic daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, tonight at 9, Fox News. Watch Mark Levin, big show. All right, we should have a giant Make America Great Again rally for 250 instead of having overpriced singers who nobody really wants to hear, whose music is boring. That reminds me, I wrote another song this weekend with my family. I'll have to let you guys listen to it. And yet who do nothing but complain, cancel it. Just like I canceled my involvement with the failing and unsafe to be in Kennedy Center because a highly conflicted, crooked federal judge said that I should not be allowed to spend my time and money in order to make the center great again, actually far greater than it ever was before. It would have also been nice to see a Republican-Democrat union bring it back to life. The Kennedy Center is broken, unsafe, and busted, and has been for many years. Judge Cooper also stated that the highly prestigious board of the center was not authorized to add on the name Trump, despite the fact that hundreds of millions of dollars of my time and money will be necessary for its successful reincarnation. So now the Kennedy Center will collapse, both structurally and financially. Judge Cooper and his wife, Amy Jeffress, obfuscation. Anyone should be ashamed of themselves. Judge Cooper, like numerous other crooked judges on my cases, should be impeached. Make America great again. President Donald J. Trump. Oh, boy. Sorry, we're finally into Saturday. See, they have a ballroom. It's called the Great Hall of China. It's very large and beautiful. Why do people fight me for having something even better? The Democrats are crazy. President Donald J. Trump. Oh my God, he's so funny. 2 days ago, drone port on the roof of the White House ballroom. President Donald J. Trump. That's cool. Thank you, Jackson. It was great being with you. I know you're taking some heat from the radical left lunatics who are jealous of you, me, and everyone who surrounds us. But I also know that your jersey also went to #1 and you're making millions of dollars. So you are a winner. They are all losers. I'll see you in the White House. President Donald J. Trump. What is this? This is his reflecting pool. The reflecting pool built between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument, which was destroyed by Barack Hussein Obama and Sleepy Joe Biden after spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to fix it. It only got worse. Is moving along nicely, and we should easily make the July 4th date. It will be spectacular and good without leaks for 100 years at a fraction of the cost. President Donald J. Trump. All right, I understand artists are getting the yips having to do with their performance on Wednesday. So I am thinking about bringing the #1 attraction anywhere in the world, the man who gets much larger audiences than Elvis Presley in his prime. Oh, boy. And he does so without a guitar, the man who loves our country more than anyone else, and the man who some say is the greatest president in history. The GOAT. Oh, my God. He is such a troll. Donald J. Trump to take the place of these highly paid third-rate artists and give a major speech, rally the country forward like I have done ever since being president. 2 years ago, the United States was dead. Man, it's been a while since he said this. I was talking about this recently. The United States was dead. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. I don't want so-called artists that get paid far too much money who aren't happy. I only want to be surrounded by happy people, smart people, successful people, and people that know how to win. So by copy of this truth, I am ordering my representatives to look at the feasibility of doing an America is Back rally on Wednesday. Washington, D.C., same time, same location, only great patriots invited. It will be a wild and beautiful celebration of America, President Donald J. Trump. Oh my God. Been a while since he said America was dead but is now thriving. So reminiscent of Revelation 13, the head wound. Wounded to death and then brought back miraculously. All right. Can you imagine? I can only imagine. A Barack Hussein Obama judge named Christopher Cooper has stopped a magnificent structural and aesthetic rebuilding of the Trump Kennedy Center, where millions of dollars of materials, marble, furniture, steel, air conditioning, heating. I don't think we really need to read this. We're getting to almost an hour of his posts. Let's see if we got anything else that's really important here. We're only on 2 days back. Just some pictures over in China. Fentanyl, Biden solution, Trump solution. Oh yeah, I think I'm going to start adding a new segment on addressing homelessness, which we're going to have to come up with a song for it. But I want to start. I was talking to my wife this weekend, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm convicted by the parable where Jesus says that when he returns, I don't know if it's a parable, but when he says he returns, he's going to separate the sheep from the goats. And what determines whether you're a sheep or a goat is how you treat the least of us. So I want to do a segment and start regularly looking for ways and suggestions and bringing to attention the things that are, what's happening with the homeless. Because, I've tried and failed, and I'm starting to finally gain some ground and resources, and I want to start playing some of these videos. So we're going to do that tonight. But yeah, fentanyl, Biden solution, Trump solution. This is still very much a problem, as you'll see tonight. Retail theft, Biden solution, Trump's solution. Yeah, here, this is probably a good time to watch this video that I have from our boy Kevin Dahlgren. He's a reporter on the homelessness. He also does assistance to where he will offer resources and help to the homeless. And this video is him in San Francisco covering just shoplifting. So I thought this was interesting.
Just so blatant here that the security guards don't even try.
San Francisco.
I visited San Francisco and witnessed some of the most blatant shoplifting I have ever seen. In every store I entered, someone was openly stealing while security guards just stood by, seemingly restricted by hands-off policies and strict corporate procedures. To learn more, I followed several shoplifters out of the store and interviewed them, and most were more than willing to talk on camera. Many openly admitted to the stealing, seemingly confident that little to nothing would happen to them.
Say thank you.
Were you able to steal this because security here won't stop you?
Yes.
And that's kind of the way it works in San Francisco? How easy is it to get away with shoplifting in San Francisco?
I robbed the place. You're talking about shoplift.
What's that?
He
Robbed the place. They didn't shoplift.
He robbed the place. He didn't shoplift.
So just tell me kind of what you were able to get away with.
Yeah, cookies.
You got cookies?
got milk.
Okay. Can you estimate how many times you've taken from a store?
A lot.
A lot?
I don't mind you taking a video of me. I mean, it is what it is.
I noticed the security guards here won't even take your photo, won't even acknowledge you. So why wouldn't you keep coming back? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's basically like free pass. So.
Well, that makes sense.
The most surprising thing I learned was many of the homeless, knowing their rights, will actually call the police if they feel harassed by store staff trying to stop them.
Well, and how many police reports do you think you've made?
I think I made like 8.
8 police reports on staff members at grocery stores.
So,
Do you kind of see the irony in that you had just stolen from the store and you called the police and the staff member trying to stop you?
mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of irony in there.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, it's your job. I get that it's your job. Maybe some people do take it like really personal. If you don't say anything to me, I'm not going to say anything to you. We get into I don't like confrontation, so it's like the yelling and stuff doesn't start because of me, but I guess I just have to defend myself. I don't know.
They're not just hungry, okay? They come.
All of this would have continued. So this is primarily in blue states. San Francisco, Portland, New York, places like that, to where they have these sanctuary city policies where they have a hands off. This was the intention for the United States of America. This is what I'm talking about when I say Donald Trump and Elon Musk stand before the Lord of the whole earth. If it wasn't for them, this would be far more of a problem. So I think that when Donald Trump is saying that America was dead and now we're the hottest country in the world, it's quite literally a fulfillment of Revelation 13. But this is still a glimpse of what's to come. It's just there's a hold on it right now. Like when they finally succeed and he'll either term out or they'll succeed in what they're endeavoring to do with these two men. Then they will be unrestrained, and this is what we have to look forward to. These businesses will not survive. This is a systematic destruction of the current system so that they can install something else.
And steal food. They make all money off us. They steal the whole energy drink. They sell it probably sell it to someone.
Well, they walk down to Mission and sell it.
Exactly. So
take care.
A majority of the shoplifters were not just stealing to eat. Their plan was to sell what they had to supply their drug habit. I went to Mission Street, where a majority of these stolen items are resold for about 20 cents on the dollar.
Now, you may eat this, but are you going to sell what's in your bag for like hustle, like side money?
It depends.
Just depends, okay.
And then some of the stuff that I don't do, like I don't drink, I'll sell the corner,
Oh, you'll sell it yourself on like Mission, like you'll at just maybe 50 cents on the dollar or something. If that.
If that. To be honest, yeah.
They have lax laws here. I'm just curious, is that why you guys can get away with this, because of the lax laws?
Doors of security. That's why.
They didn't even look at you. You notice they just waved at you.
I know.
It's kind of a joke.
No.
You can't stop them. You can't do nothing. Interesting. Security will not stop you at the door.
If I buy it, they don't stop me at the door. They usually say hello. It's a doorway,
Well, yeah, of course, if you buy it, but if you don't buy it.
If I don't buy it, I put it under my shirt. I make sure I just run the on.
So I just spoke to the security guard. He said, we're not even allowed to take their photo, which means there's literally nothing they can do.
And now it's just stand at the elevator, write a report, about them stealing something that I don't even know what they stole.
Yeah, and do you even take a photo of them?
No, not allowed to do that.
So you're not allowed to take a photo of them. How are you even supposed to, how are we even supposed to know who did it? The San Francisco Police Department says we vigorously enforce the shoplifting law. But the thing is, if the security guards aren't even allowed to write down the person's description, get their name, take a photo, what's the point? I mean, they're not calling the police. So, I mean, you see the disconnect? Yeah. Have you ever been stopped by security walking out the store?
No way.
I did not see anybody make any effort to stop you whatsoever. And you walk past 2 security guards.
Yeah.
It says a lot about San Francisco.
It's a lot about Whole Foods, too.
I spoke to the manager of the Whole Foods. He said back in the day, yes, we could put our hands on them and it prevented all shoplifting. But these days, due to liability, they're not allowed to touch them. And the homeless know this. They'll just walk by, flip them off, do whatever they want.
Go. Eat my store. Not for even call. Yes, guys. What are you doing, man? You said you're going to stop coming.
So you're just going to walk off with the meat. I've seen this like 5 times in the last 3 minutes. People just walk off. He's got a handful of meat in him. Look at that. That's crazy. How do you guys even make a profit? But due to lax laws on the books.
This is part of the problem with helping these people is just like, so, Jesus separates us according to, the sheeps and the goats. Those who make an effort to help the lowest of his brethren, obviously you can't help them shoplift. So how do you help these people? Like, it's such a dilemma. It's such a confusing time right now. It would be one thing if people were hungry and on the streets and had nothing, but these people are allowed to just outright take what they want, and it's destroying the culture. It's destroying society. Like there's no way that these stores can sustain, the loss like this. Like they're in business in order to make money, and a lot of them operate on razor thin margins. So it's such a dilemma. Like, what do you do? So the only thing I can think of is just like, you need to get these, in order to help them, you need to get them into a position to where they can actually take care of themselves, where they don't need, they're not trying to supply a drug habit, which Trump is working on, stopping the flow of drugs coming into the country, but drugs can still be made in the country. I imagine that's where probably some of them are still coming from, is drugs being made in the country. But yeah, I mean, like, nobody's stopping them. And in a lot of ways, they're actually assisting them by providing them with drug paraphernalia. They do that in Portland. There's a phrase for it, to where it's they try to minimize the damage immediately at the risk of future, or without caring about the future. In other words, they're trying to just make people safe now, even if it's detrimental in the future. So yeah, it's a crazy world right now, what we're going through.
And strict standard operating procedures from Whole Foods and their private security, there's very little they can do. They're more likely to book you than the homeless person, because this is San Francisco and they're a protected class.
Yeah, exactly. Which is sort of disheartening in a way. Because I don't know, I understand, mental illness and all that, but like, also mental illness shouldn't give you the whole reason to, go out and be able to steal and not have any consequences for your actions.
The law allows it, so people do.
The law allows it, so people do.
To a certain extent of, there isn't the consequence that you would think.
Yeah.
This website is, I've found, has some good information on it, fixhomelessness.org. I'm going to start looking there and reading from it from time to time to start educating us on what's going on. But this was kind of a start to get a look at, it's not a simple, it's not a simple problem to solve. This is Biden's solution right now. This is what we're seeing, from the radical left, retail theft, Biden solution, and the radical left. And this is Trump's solution, which is, if you can't treat people nicely, you should be removed from society, or rehabilitated. If you have a drug problem, you should be, rehabilitated. So, and this is what they're doing in countries that aren't radical left, run by radical left leaders. That's ultimately what's really happening, is the radical leaders in these sanctuary cities are not only allowing this to take place, but they're encouraging it. Yep. All right. Well, we're going to probably call it there for Trump, because we're already at an hour. Let's move on to Elon Musk. All right. And he still has this post about going elsewhere, about making life multiplanetary. We've watched this so many times, I don't think we need to play it again. Start here from Rupert Lowe. I want the world to hear what we heard.
Firstly, I would like to thank the 260,974 British men and women who signed the petition to make this debate possible. And I want to welcome these brave survivors who are sitting behind us in the hall. This debate is about them. As you quite rightly say, it's not about politics. I want the world to hear what we heard during the 2 weeks of our independent rape gang inquiry hearings, an inquiry that should never have needed to happen. I sincerely urge this Parliament to listen to the testimonies from these brave survivors and to act, to finally act. So the first testimony: he took his pants down, penetrated me, had sex with me. He then stopped before ejaculation. Had sex with me while he was there. At that point, I was about 12, nearly 13. Another testimony. I was held down by the men as they each took turns to orally kill me and harmed my loved ones if I ever told anybody what had happened. And higher moral standing. These comparisons were used to justify the way I was treated and to further humiliate and control me. Another, she was a white woman herself, who I imagine may have been groomed, and has obviously now married into the family, shouting obscenities at us. Throughout the whole sentencing, she was constantly saying, "Fucking liars, liars."
Oh, I'm trying to. YouTube has got policies against this, so I'm trying to skip the parts that'll get us banned or taken off the air if I play too much of these obscenities. I think we can play a little bit of it, but if it's seen as in any way, shape, or form as encouraging anything or too overly extreme, YouTube will take the stream off the air. So I'm kind of just skipping around a little bit on this video so that we don't get in trouble.
Lying white bitches. She said to me that God will be the witness for what happens to me. Another, race did play a part and motivated the selection or demographic of the victims. Throughout my exploitation, the other girls I encountered or who were abused alongside me were almost exclusively white. Another, she had a baby by him, and his dad was an imam. His dad knew. And he got his son married and said that he wasn't allowed to see the child. They look after their own community. Another. Over the course of the abuse, I was raped by multiple police officers.
Yikes.
In different parts of the country. Another. He put a cigarette out on the baby's face. Another. It's
my goodness, that is.
Started when I was 13. I was raped.
I'll skip a little bit of this.
By a staff member of the children's home. Another. I was bleeding from.
Yikes.
Spiked, and I did not know what had happened because I was too afraid to tell the truth. They did not ask any questions. They gave me tablets and discharged me. I was 15 years old. Another. Things would escalate around Eid and holidays. Parties got bigger, got worse, got more violent. More people involved, more girls involved. The parties were just bigger. Another. The main clash that I kind of had with the religion side of it was I grew up as a Christian. I would wear my cross because it was.
This is another place where tribulation is taking place. If we didn't know about this stuff, you would never know the tribulation was going on around the world. If it weren't for Elon Musk posting these things and others posting these things, he's very faithful to post what's going on, these atrocities that are going on in the world. But can you imagine? I mean, this is what's happening over in the UK. It's terrible. These rape gangs are horrible. By the very people that you would expect to protect you, they're involved. By the people that you live with and you're around, they're involved. It's like, where do you go to get help? Talk about great tribulation.
Something really special to me. It was just used as a way to break me down. They said, "Where is your God now? Has your God forsaken you?" Another. It was all of.
This is from the rape gang inquiries in the UK.
The white girls in every home that I went to. I remember a man opening the back of a van and I saw 15, 20 girls locked in dog cages.
Yikes.
Another. Dogs were brought in and I couldn't move at all. I had nowhere to move. I think that was the scariest thing, was not having any concept of it. There were men around me, not horrified, not disgusted, not helping, but filming and laughing. Making bets on whether the dog could actually rape me or not.
Oh my goodness.
Break, and he did. Another. I just want it to stop and not happen to any other children, and for people to actually act, to do something and stop being so scared. I could continue for hours and hours. All of us in this building have a responsibility to finally act. Not to talk, but to act. Our Rape Gang Inquiry report will be released in the coming days. It will change Britain for good. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be horrified, go back and listen to that whole video. It's very graphic. We skipped a lot of the graphic
Firstly,
stuff.
I would like to thank the 200...
There you go. All right, moving on. Okay, something a little bit lighter. Gad Saad, I love the United States, and that's it. In other news, from Mark Andreessen, I have found it, the platonic form of every New York Times op-ed. There's something else we should be worrying about. I have no idea what this is about. Anyone who used a computer between 1985 and 2010, what's the one game you still think about? There's a game I played on the Commodore 64 called Mech Wars that I think about from time to time. I had so much fun with that game. We played it in school. There was another one called Star Command or something like that. Star Quest, Star Command. Anyway, but Mech Wars is the one I probably think about the most because that was just the most entertaining. I'll have to go look that up. Man, now I want to play it again. Retro game. I don't really go for the retro games, but that one I would probably go for. Good old Elon with Doge dog. Eating McDonald's. Old AI. Oh. AI slop. I waste so much time on AI slop. The state of AI right now. Official Netscape plugin. Is Netscape still a thing? The hottest plugin and how they work. Let's see. From Peter Sellis, good math, but not all quite there. First, SpaceX pays fairly average, but for more than a decade, they have offered regular biannual liquidity to employees to live comfortably, especially to have a family in LA County. Let's see. Good math. Let's see. True. They gave stock to everyone. There are a bunch of highly skilled workers that we on X never think of, like the tube benders, orbital tube welders, clean room technicians, etc., that are going to make significant fortunes. From Gad Sod, in response to Coach Tommy Tuberville, coming to America is a privilege, not a right. If you want to come to our country, you need to assimilate. It's that simple. Agreed. Some ideologies are defined by the fact that they do not assimilate, but are meant to conquer. This is like accepting wolves into a den of sheep, but asking the wolves to switch their dietary preferences to tofu. Oh my gosh. There is something darkly amusing about the fact that selling victimhood to the most privileged people in history has become such a lucrative and big business. When I was on tour with Jordan Peterson, he talked about many things, but probably the most common recurring theme was the spirit of Cain. It seems our ancient and sacred texts tell us these stories for a reason. Victimhood is easy, seductive, and addictive, and now profitable too. We are living through a perpetual victimhood escalation battle where people and groups now compete not on merit, but on the supposed disadvantages they face, which makes perfect sense since this is the incentive structure our societies have been encouraged and forced to adopt. Indeed. Elon responding to Gad Saad, the only thing that stops violent men from raping you and your society are other men who are equally willing to be violent in stopping the rapists. The West has decided that the highest virtue is to quietly comply with the destruction of your civilization, because to do otherwise, he says, bullseye. This reminds me of a scene from Yellowstone. Do you guys watch the show Yellowstone? Oh my God, it is such a good show. You almost have to see this to understand it. It's such a good line. is it?
Dan Jenkins' office.
Reminds me of this line right here. Hopefully they don't copyright strike me on this. It's a short, YouTube.
Appointment? Not what I asked. Hey. Oh! You, so you and I find ourselves. Beck brothers are pushing their way in. I think you, Mr. Rainwater, and I should all sit down and clear the air. I can arrange that. Thank you. That was a nice move. More than a move. Just meaner than you.
That's the line I was thinking of. He walks in and he knocks the guy out with a bottle of wine and goes in and does his business and is on his way out after the business is done. The security guard's like, that was a nice move. And he's like, it wasn't a move. I'm just meaner than you. That's the way we got to be. That's the mentality when you're dealing with, evil and, death cults. That's almost kind of the mentality you've got to have. You've got to be stronger and in a lot of cases meaner than the other guy. Not in an evil way, but in a way to defend and protect the innocent. Love that show. Good show. All right, moving on. Architecture in space should be more beautiful than Paris. Nobody will move to the moon or Mars to live. Nobody will move to the moon or Mars to live in an Apple store. We need fantasy sci-fi art level of beauty and space settlements. Fair point. I feel seen by the new drinks from Mickey D's. Mickey D's advertising on X. Okay. Is that what the AI was about? This is pretty cool. So this is one of the reasons why we drive Teslas is if you've done any research, there's some fake news out there about Teslas burning and tragedies happening in Teslas. But if you look at the actual data and the statistics, Teslas are the safest car to ever be on the road. They're engineered at a different level. They're so safe that when initially they started testing Teslas, they were breaking the machines they used to test them because they're so strong. This is the stuff that should be, advertised most often. This Tesla plunged 300 feet off of a cliff, and the two passengers survived with only moderate injuries. That's what you can expect in a Tesla. All right, moving on. Honestly, Grok should be the best AI for creating bangers. Humans get good at posting from real life with audiences, engagement, feedback. Oh, you know what? I found out. So I figured out why it does this when I go to view this post. Like, so if I go to view this post from Bezos, it disappears. It's because of my screen size. So I need to actually submit a bug report because I bet you they can fix that because it doesn't do that on my bigger screen. Anyway, I guess we won't read that post. Foreign-born population of each country. This is simply a fact. So he's just pointing out the population is on decline. From Zia Yusuf, I have written to the chief constable of Hampshire Police demanding the immediate release of the Henry Nowak police body cam footage. National Police Chiefs Council guidance does not preclude releasing body cam footage where there is an ongoing investigation, stating it is important that forces are seen to be open and transparent when responding to allegations of wrongdoing, and that police shouldn't create a perception that police are selectively choosing when to release footage to their advantage, thus potentially undermining public confidence. This is not going away. Good. As little as 5 years ago, so from Uncle Bob Martin, as little as 5 years ago, I publicly stated that self-driving cars were not in the imminent future. I was dead wrong about that. I am now a happy owner of a Cybertruck and I let it drive me everywhere I go. I trust its tactical skill more than I trust my own. Try Tesla self-driving. I will say I'm close to an agreement on that to where we let our Cybertruck drive us almost everywhere we go. but we still pay very close attention because there's two instances where it's not really safe yet. One is slowing down in dangerous situations. Like we were driving on the freeway this weekend, and there was a stretch of the freeway that had a bunch of tree roots growing underneath the road that caused bumps, and it was like out in the middle of nowhere. Tesla saw it, and it didn't really slow down enough. It slowed down, just not enough. We ended up doing some pretty serious four-wheeling. So that's one thing that still needs to get better. They do have like pothole detection and animal detection and stuff like that. If it sees the smallest little creature on the road, it'll if it's safe to, it'll go around it. If it's not safe to, bye-bye little creature. But what's the other thing that it still does this weird in some intersections, and it seems to be most notably on that have a incline of some sort. It changes lanes. So still not perfect, but it is extremely close to being bulletproof full self-driving. I mean, we let it pretty much drive us everywhere. We're just still conscious. We're still cautious of these different scenarios where it's still not perfect. It's getting better though. Advertisement. Let's see. Bound to happen. Hear me out. Add plants and warm lighting to the interior of Starship. Oh, yeah, fun. Bound to happen. Yes, Tesla. So Dina Rona, you ask, could a Tesla detect if the bridge in front of you collapsed? Yes. As a matter of fact, it's got pothole detection, and a bridge collapsed would count as pothole. Sometimes it will get tripped up if there's like if it thinks there's a hole. So we have this one spot where we have to take over, where the road is old, but they've patched it with that black tar. But they've done it in such a way that makes it look like half the road is missing in a particular section. It will stop there because it thinks it's a pothole. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure that if it saw a bridge out, it would stop as well. Worth watching. It's a 1.5 million views. Interesting. America's cultural ideal has been a self-made entrepreneur, while Europe was rooted in aristocracy. With status inherited rather than earned, Europe's inheritance laws show this divide. Many European countries have forced heirship laws that require people to leave 50 to 75% of their estate to their children. You okay? To their children, want to leave the majority of their wealth to charity, which is not allowed. Your kids are estranged from you, struggling with addiction, or irresponsible, still required to give them the money. Want your kids to avoid a life of entitlement? Tough. And let's see, how long is this? Incredibly, these laws look back at transfers made during your lifetime. If you have 3 children in France, you're required to bequeath them a minimum of 75% of your estate, because French law calculates this based on your assets at death plus all lifetime gifts. Giving away more than 25% of your wealth while alive means your heirs can legally sue to force charities or foundations to return the funds. Wow. This has limited the development of the nonprofit sector on the continent. The cultural gap between an entrepreneurial society and one shaped by dynastic wealth is enormous. If you make it yourself, you tend to want your kids to do the same. If you inherit it, the primary goal is protecting the estate for the next generation. Countries like Spain, France, and Italy legally entrench family dynasties, while America has historically sought to limit them through estate taxes. The result is not only a weaker culture of philanthropy and civil society in Europe, but also less economic dynastism. Interesting. I had no idea about that. That's interesting. That is interesting. That's what Elon said. Elon said that's interesting too. We are the architects of tomorrow. Indeed. Suicidal Empathy. Try the audiobook. He's really pushing this book. He must really like this book. I mean, like, for weeks on end, he's been pushing this book, Suicidal Empathy. I guess I'm going to have to get it and read it. From Kevin Bass. Arina Zarutska was 23. Henry Nowak was 18. Irina was murdered in the U.S., Henry in the U.K. Irina fled the Ukraine war only to be murdered as an American subway. Irina's murderer had a violent history, but liberal judges refused to imprison him. Henry's murder cried racism. Police handcuffed Henry and laughed as he bled to death. And the murderer's mother helped hide the knife. Yikes. Despite mass public outcry, legacy media never reported on either. It is hard to avoid the conclusion that there is a war on whites. Yeah. Release the footage, you evil bastards. Our officers were misled at the scene, including denial of weapon use. They quickly switched to life-saving aid within minutes, but as aid... Yeah, but so then release the footage if this is true. So life-saving aid within minutes, but as laid out in our statement, the medical evidence shows that the injuries were not survivable. A very sad case. Our thoughts are with this family. Claim HP is misled, including denial of weapon use, is misleading. Henry stated, "I've been stabbed. I can't breathe." Officers replied, "I don't think so, mate," before cuffing him as he bled out. Victim's words dismissed, no suspensions, body cam still withheld. Release the footage. Indeed. World of statistics, space exploration timeline. I'm not going to read all this. It's a lot. 1974 to 1903. 1962. I mean, a lot of interesting stuff in here. Be interesting to put this on a timeline. Why did it stop at 1974? From Mark Andreessen, many people are saying Seneca was right when he said to be happy you must eliminate two things, the fear of a bad future and the memory of a bad past. Oh, nice. I like that. So Seneca said you should retard max. What? Retard max. What's retard max? Pretty good progress. 2,600 invested in Tesla's IPO is worth more than $1 million today. Wow.
A lot of it focuses on the loss-making part of Tesla. Hasn't made any money. The prototype, you don't know yet whether or not you're going to be able to mass produce a company on the Model S. There's no distribution system yet. It almost seems as if investors are buying into your company on a leap of faith.
Well, first of all, I should mention that not only were we able to increase the size of the offering and price above the range, but the quality of investor that people will see, when people see who's investing in an IPO, it's the smartest, most long-term thinking investors in the market. It's really an amazing set of investors. So I think it's just worth noting that the smartest money in the world is betting on Tesla. They must have a reason for doing so, because obviously to go public and increase the range and increase the price in this market is not easy. And yet, but these are very well-informed people.
Right, but you've got an equal number of people who are saying, there has to be more, answered. There has to be more questions that have to be answered, essentially. What are you going to do with this money, and how are you going to stop losing money in Tesla?
Yeah. Well, I think an important point that seems to be lost by most people is that if Tesla were just making the sports car and doing our powertrain supply business, we would be profitable as a company. However, we're expanding massively. We're talking about expanding by 3,000% in the space of 2 to 3 years. It's just not possible for the company as a whole to be profitable with that kind of with that rate of expansion. And that's the reason for the unprofitability. It's not some fundamental flaw in the.
Boy, the world has changed so much since that time. Speaking of problems in Paris. Zoiks. Tribulation much? Wow. Voltaire passed away today in 1778. There are two quotes of his I always come back to. I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. And those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. There's a lot of that with religion too. I can't tell you how many people say, call me absurd for pointing out just for pointing out by basic facts. I had a conversation with somebody today about the Bible, or not today, yesterday, about the Bible and biologics, and just simply stating that we should start with the basis of biology to understand, things that are written about in the scripture. And they had a hard time believing that. I mean, like, that's absurd. Good quotes, though. The first quote is not by Voltaire. It was created by Evelyn Beatrice Hall in 1906 to summarize his philosophy. The second quote is a variation of Voltaire's 1765 words, which referred to committing injustices rather than atrocities. Okay. Half the British electorate did not vote last time. That's because they had nothing and no one to vote for. They do now. Restore Britain.
I am now launching Restore Britain as a national political party. I have only ever been honest with the British people, and I will be straight with you now. What is necessary will be incredibly painful. The first priority is to control who comes to our country, and more importantly, who stays in our country. Restore Britain will not just stop mass immigration, we will reverse it.
Oh, you know what? That's going to get me copyright strike by having that music play. Yeah.
An economy. Britain is not just an idea. Britain is not just a passport. Britain is a nation. Britain is a people, our people. And Restore Britain will never allow that to be erased.
Cool. BTW, Elon Musk announced SpaceX will establish data centers in space and on the moon for efficiency. Well, yeah, he's been talking about that for
I am now launching.
For a long time. Let's X 1,000 the GDP. Zia's Yusuf, where's the Henry Nowak body cam footage? Release it now. From Matt Walsh, every country on planet Earth is built on conquest. Every indigenous tribe claimed its land by conquest. Every line on the map across every continent and every ethnic group was drawn by conquest. Apologizing for this is like apologizing for gravity. That's from Matt Walsh. I think a day acknowledging that their country, like ours, was built on conquest and genocide, and that the native populations are not seeing the fruits of the new country is a good thing. Yet native populations weren't always native. They had to get there. They had to conquer the land at some point in time. They had to conquer it or take it at some point in time. Let's see. So Rupert Lowe. Let's see. Am I in a thread? No. A big thanks to the Daily Mirror for this Restore Britain Party political broadcast. His new outfit is far more extreme than reform, with promises to deport millions of people. Policies include abolishing asylum systems altogether, abolishing inheritance tax, scraping foreign aid, and using the money spent on diversity and inclusivity programs to fund the armed forces instead. It would also strengthen the teaching of our Christian heritage, ban the burqa, hold a binding referendum on restoring the death penalty. Big thanks to the Daily Mirror for the Restore Britain Party political broadcast. Okay, Suicidal Empathy is #1 of all books in Canada for a second week in a row. Yes, it has. Suicidal Empathy, Dying to be Kind by evolutionary behavioral scientist Dr. Gad Saad is the #1 overall nonfiction book in Canada. Good. That's where it should be #1 in Canada. Retraining its top position on the Globe and Mail bestseller lists across both. Okay, we don't need to read that, but that's good. Good for them. Keir Starmer has not made any public statement about Henry Nowak. He made at least 7 about George Floyd. Sick. Fair point.
Can we get now to Henry Nowak, who is a teenager who was bleeding out of his own body whilst being handcuffed by cops because they believed his murderer that a racial slur had been made. Now, there's a few things to unpick here. I don't think anyone should be cuffed or arrested for hurty words, even if it's a disgusting racial slur. What does this case tell us about the culture of British policing?
Again, I think it's another a good example, good not being perhaps the best description, but you know, it's a very pertinent example of how this progressive discrimination is playing out. The presumption, I think it was 3 women officers came to the scene and found Nowak on the ground. Wow. And the presumption in their minds was the white guy must be guilty. Yeah. And when the Sikh guy with his kirpan accused him of racist comments, well, that was enough, because hurty words have now become the new criminal. What the police are targeting is criminality. And hurty, he didn't apparently say anything racist, by the way. No. But even if he'd said repugnant things, abhorrent things that you and I would find unacceptable in polite society, that is no excuse to get a knife out and stab the guy. And the police, having been confronted by Nowak, having seen Nowak on the ground pleading for them to look at his wounds and for protection, they should have done something in his favor. In fact, I understand they laughed at him. And that is that is repugnant. That is repugnant, that they laughed at this man who died a few moments later.
It also demonstrates the selective moral blindness of the woke left, doesn't it? And how unempathetic these people are, Ben, that you can be so blinded by ideology that you don't notice or won't acknowledge a man literally bleeding out of his own body, who says, I can't breathe, who says that he's been stabbed. Their answer, I don't think so.
Yeah, and, you know, where does this head? This heads to what I would loosely define as a native population in the United Kingdom that is going to kick off against the institutions that govern it if the institutions don't get a grip themselves. The institutions, our government, need to wake up to the very serious damage that's taken place. Otherwise, the people will eventually take matters into their own hands, and that won't be good for anyone.
Fair point. Terafab is going to be insane. We're targeting 100 to 200 billion custom AI and memory chips per year at full ramp. That's 1 terawatt, 1,000 gigawatts of annual AI compute capacity, roughly 50 times current global AI chip outlet. I just, when I see this now, I think about that one AI is Antichrist guy's YouTube channel, where he talks about the 6 times 10, 6, so 6, 60, and 600, which is each one is a factor of 10x. He might be onto something there. Frank is right. I've done my homework on Rupert is our man in the UK. You can start. Okay, I think we're getting into this is stuff we already looked at. So, alrighty, that's probably good for Elon Musk for the day. We covered the homeless video. All right. Well, let's see. I saw you guys have any questions? Getting ready to call it a night here. Probably just going to cover the posts. Don't have a video to respond to. Just the homeless video that we already watched. That came up earlier. I noticed Dina Rona had a question about why the ecclesia doesn't show anymore after Revelation 1 through 3. Yeah. So the thing about the book of Revelation is it's not chronological in the way that you expect it to be. So Revelation 1 so that would be more interesting if the events in the book of Revelation all happened chronologically, but they don't. you actually start. So I think this is the reason why it's laid out this way, because this information, Revelation 1, so Revelation 1, 2, and 3 has been relevant ever since Christ's crucifixion. Let's see, 1 through 3 only, but other chapters, they are not mentioned at all. Yeah, and I understand that reasoning. I've heard it before. It's the reasoning that the church is raptured. Based on what we've observed over the last 10 years, is I don't think it's relevant in the way that people want it to be relevant. And here's why. So Revelation 1 through 3 have been relevant for the last 2,000 years, right? So you've got, this information that God gave Jesus, the information about the end times. That is how we know who to attribute these things to when they start to come to pass. So John 14:29, Jesus tells us, I tell you these things beforehand so that when they happen, he says, and now I have told you before it comes, that when it does come to pass, you may believe. So Jesus told us the future, while he was still here, so that when they happen, he gets the credit for it. And we probably didn't really understand. We thought we understood that for the last 2,000 years, but really I think that what that does is, because there are still so many people in the world who don't accept Jesus as the Messiah, that in the end time, when we start to see these things come to pass, those who don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah, these things coming to pass will be a trigger, because as the prophecies are fulfilled, they're credited to Jesus, because he's the one responsible for giving us this information. So we've been aware of this for the last 2,000 years, and that's the prophet that's going to take place, as these things happen. So, and then there's other good things in Revelation 1. It gives us kind of it gives us some details about the imagery. It gives us a metaphor of the Son of Man surrounded by the candlesticks holding the stars. And then it goes into the 7 churches, and he addresses each one. Some of them, there's a pattern to it. There's a commendation. There's a what you're doing wrong. And then here's what you need to do to fix it. And then there's 2 churches that have nothing to repent from. They're just the sterling example that the other 5 should look to for how to do what it is that he wants the churches to do. So I believe this is telling us that all churches that have taken place, all churches that have formed, all groups, all ecclesias that have been around since ecclesia started forming, he categorizes them into 7 categories. So irregardless of your denomination or what it is that you believe, Jesus has broken down the ecclesias into 7 categories. And you as a believer participating in these groups, because that's what ecclesia means. It just means people gathered together for a purpose. It doesn't actually mean like a church building. It just means gathered together for a purpose. So those that you spend your time with for the purpose of learning about the Messiah, the Son of Man, learning about our history, the earth, beliefs, religion, faith, all of those things. 5 categories of people, 5 categories of these groups have things they need to fix. The Church of Pergamum or Ephesus, they were really good with outreach and they left their first love. So, he tells them, return to your first love or I'll remove your pillar. So those are, people who, may have, been very active in outreach, who, have left that. That's him saying, get back to it, get back to the outreach. And these have applied for 2,000 years. Granted, they apply even up to the fulfillment of the end times, because the instructions are do this before I return. So some people like to say that, oh, those churches were churches 2,000 years ago. They don't apply to us today. Well, then how do you explain the fact that it says, fix these things before I return? That's an indication that they're applicable all the way up until he returns. Like, you've got until he returns to fix these problems if you are in one of these groups. Another example is the church of Smyrna. They're one of the churches with nothing to repent from. That's the church under crushing pressure. Then you got Pergamum, which is the church with they practice the doctrines of Baal. They hate the Nicolaitans. They practice child sacrifice. These are things that were attributed to that particular group, which you can make parallels to this day and age. Churches that participate in pushing abortion. Churches that have bizarre doctrines, doctrinal error, doctrines of devils. Then you got the church of Thyatira, which has Jezebel in the church. They suffer that woman Jezebel. Anyway, so 7 churches, every single group that is involved that says that they follow the Messiah falls into one or more of those categories. The only way that I can figure that this has to be a self journey. I think everybody is responsible for learning about those 7 churches and evaluating if you fall into one or more of them. And if so, doing what he recommends to be fixed. And this is especially important for people who are leading groups. If you're a church leader, if you're a pastor, if you're a minister, if you run a church or even a home Bible fellowship, if you have a YouTube channel where people listen to you, you should be evaluating yourself according to those 7 categories to see if there's anything that you should repent from and change. And the key is with the churches that have nothing to repent from, there's 2 of them that have nothing to repent from, Smyrna and Philadelphia. Those are the 2 churches everybody should strive to be like. So everybody that has a group that is teaching the gospel should strive to be like Smyrna, which is the church that teaches the gospel despite crushing pressure. And then the church of Philadelphia is the church of brotherly love. It was funny. I was having this conversation with my dad this weekend. He was asking me, are you born again? And that's a question. I used to believe in this concept of once saved, always saved. That I don't think it's that simple anymore. I think that the divisions between denominations have become a form of conflict that Satan pushes, that he uses to cause division. And I was telling him, based on the Church of Philadelphia, we should strive to love one another, even if we don't agree with one another, and do what we can to help them if we can identify areas where they're failing, if they're falling into one of those categories that Jesus says to repent from, So anyway, I know I'm over explaining this. So here, let me show you something here. So Revelation isn't linear, meaning it's not like, one event happening after another. And the reason we know that is because, Revelation 1 through 3, is applicable since he was crucified. However, if you jump over here to Revelation 12, this doesn't happen until 2017, right? So, and what this does is this tells us where to start looking for for particular events to happen. So if this happened in 2017, the church is still here. So even if the ecclesia isn't mentioned after Revelation 3, Revelation 12 is the anchor point that links a specific time to Scripture that tells us that the events written in the book of Revelation apply to us now. So if you're wondering what I'm referring to, this sign right here happened on September 23rd, 2017. We've looked at this sign before. Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Then being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. This sign is so unique that it only happens basically this one time. There's another one that's close in 439 AD, I think it is. But it's not as good as this one. This one happens to happen on a Tishri 1, right before the Festival of Trumpets. This one has significantly more significance. And if there's people out there who they're just idiots, they're people who don't study the stars and they make comments without actually doing the research. They'll make comments like, oh, this happens every year, or this happens every, couple of years. That's not true. We've gone through on the channel. We've literally shown every single instance of this going back 6,000 to 7,000 years. And the only one that fits this description, or that is even close, is this date and 439. And this one is a much better match. So it acts as an anchor point telling us that this sign that is written about in Revelation 12 applies to us today. So this is your starting point in the book of Revelation. So you're here, I'm here, the rapture hasn't happened as far as I know. So this idea that because the church isn't mentioned after Revelation 3, therefore it must mean that the church is raptured before whatever happens in verse 4, 5, and 6, I don't buy that, because what this does is this anchor point is what tells us to start watching for the things that happened in 4, 5, and 6. And Revelation 4 is basically a key to understanding how to see the events. So it describes a particular position. When you're looking down at the North Pole, that's where you can see the 4 living creatures. You can see the aurora borealis, which is surrounding the throne. And then there's also an indication of the 24 hours. And then there's an indication to look for eclipses that take place in these particular sections of the sky. And that's how you identify seal number 1, seal number 2, seal number 3, seal number 3, and seal number 4. So this is what it looks like. So Revelation 4 through 6 is about identifying the first 4 seals that are mentioned in the book of Revelation. And I'll state that during this time, we've seen these fulfilled. The church is still here and the rapture hasn't happened. So now happened on eclipse here, seal number 2 happening on eclipse there, seal number 3 happening on eclipse here, seal number 4 happened on the middle eclipse, and then in reverse order, which the eclipses do actually reverse their order. So you can see here, we got the eclipses, and then they reverse their order over here. Then you've got the seal 5, 6, and 7. You don't actually need a living creature calling attention to this eclipse, because you can infer it based on the pattern. And this is why, I've made the statement that I believe we're in seal number 5 right now. And seal number 6 is, certain things happen on seal number 6. Anyway, to your question, that's why I don't believe. So that's my feeling when it comes to, the church not being listed, the ecclesia not mentioned after Revelation 3. It's implied because of just the way that the anchor points and the events are laid out. It's not linear in the way that people would expect it to be. So it's not like Revelation 4, 5, and 6 actually happens before Revelation 12. Revelation 12 actually happens first. There you go. Crave, we don't. Have I read Flavius Josephus' writing that document the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70? It remarkably matches up with much of Matthew 24, Luke 21, and Mark 18. I've read quite a lot of Josephus' stuff. I've referred to it quite a lot, just because of his historical records. I would have to look at it again to understand what it is that you're saying. So I haven't read it with as it lines up with the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. There's things in Matthew 24, Luke 21, and Mark 18 that absolutely did not happen in AD 70, such as the return of Jesus. Some people use that to say that he's returned already and that we already missed the 1,000-year reign. I don't buy that. I think that we're still waiting. But yeah, no, I think he's like Fury said, he's a historian, and I think his writings are valid. Yeah, really good for reference, really good for research. Alrighty, you guys want to hear the song that I worked on? Some of you might not like this. In a way, it's kind of trolling. But I have, I don't know if you guys know this. I'm an avid runner. I love running. And I need music that has a good beat for running. So this might be a little aggressive for some of you guys. If it is, I recommend turning down the volume because it gets very aggressive. It's heavy metal, but so I made this. It's actually my voice. With Suno, they have this feature now where you can use your voice, and they'll use it to influence the generation of the songs. So it's AI generated. This is not me actually singing the song, but let's see. How can I show the whole view here? Maybe if I do this over here. Yeah, I think that'll work. This is showing a lot of other junk I don't really care to see. How do we see the video? Does it do the video? All right. So let's see. So Josephus was. Alrighty. So, all right. So what else do I need to prep you guys for on this song? So it's based on, we were listening to Our God is an Awesome God. And we were sitting on the couch, and I was like, man, this would be so good if somebody could do a heavy metal version of Our God is an Awesome God. And when I went to go try and generate that with Suno, it said, sorry, this is copyrighted music. We can't allow you to use copyrighted lyrics. So we went back. So me, my daughter, and my wife worked on this as we were driving around this weekend in the car while our car was full self-driving itself. This was our project we worked on. And so we wanted to do a heavy metal version of Our God is an Awesome God. It wouldn't let us do it. So I had Grok rewrite the lyrics, but instead of Our God is an Awesome God, it changed it to Our God is a Mighty God. So changed it enough that Suno would actually generate it, and we wanted it unique enough that there was no real connection to Our God is an Awesome God, so that there's no way that it could be claim copyright. But that's where the inspiration came from, and we refined the lyrics. So the way I do these lyrics now today is I come up with an idea, and I have either Suno or Grok or some AI generate lyrics, and then we go through and we refine them to what we actually want. And this is the result of what we came to. And this is actually my voice cloned. You can hear it in the very beginning, my low voice. Maybe I'll sing part of it when my screen crashed. Hello. Everything crashed? Am I still broadcasting? It's really hot in here. It might be overheating everything. Oh no, it was just this that crashed. Alrighty, you guys still hear me? Let me know if you can still hear me. Everything still says it's online. Let me actually go look over here. Yep, still says we're live and broadcasting. All right, so I'm going to play this. Again, turn your volume down if... Okay, good. Turn your volume down if it's too loud for you. But here you go. You were warned. This is heavy metal. It's kind of it's a combination of heavy metal, alternative, and a cappella. So, and it's fun. We had fun with this. It's kind of I don't know if you guys saw like Lemony Snickets or something. It's kind of got that kind of a vibe to it. The bump, ba bump, ba bump, ba bump, bump. All right, here you go. Here you can actually have a look here at the lyrics.
Our God
is a mighty God. He stands eternal and strong, with power, justice, and truth. Our God is a mighty God. Our God is a mighty light that crushes the dark. Our God is a mighty God. Heavens tear open, worlds tremble at his battle march. Every darkness, every tyrant, every curse will fall when the Messiah rises and announces the final call. He splits the seas with a roar like a lion, commands the legions in celestial advance. The lightning his hammer, the thunder he wields. He vanquishes evil and makes the broken healed. Our God is a mighty God. He stands eternal and strong, with wrath and glory. His voice shakes the cosmos, writing the story. Our God is a mighty I can't tell you how much I love that song. It's so good. And it's kind of a troll too, because I know that the religious nutheads out there are going to think that it's like satanic. But if you listen to the words, like these words are legit, man. I mean, like this is how I think we should be praising God, like with everything that you are, screaming at the top of your lungs. Just because there's some growl into it doesn't mean that it's evil. Doesn't mean that it's from Satan. Our God is a mighty God. I love that. Let's see. How's it go? Our God. Let's see. I got to hear this from the beginning again. This is so good. This first part is my favorite. Our God is a mighty God. He stands eternal and strong, with power, justice, and truth. Our God is a mighty God. Ah, love it. It's my favorite. Yeah, so I'll get that published as soon as it's public. You guys, it'll be on my album. There you go. I thought you guys might enjoy that. We'll have to figure out how to start a segment with that. That could actually be a good intro segment for something. We'll do this. This will be the intro for another segment. Our God is a mighty God. Maybe something to praise God. Our God is a mighty God. He stands eternal and strong,
with power, justice, and truth. Our God is a mighty God.
God, that makes me laugh. I can't wait to troll people with that. Oh boy. All right. Well, do you guys have anything else that we should cover before we go? How long's it been? We're at the 2 hour mark. Man, I really kind of want to keep going. I'm really trying to push towards keeping these at 2 hours. 2 hours is a good amount of time. 3 hours is really pushing it. We should only do that on occasion. So I think this is actually probably the final draft. I have another one. Tell me which one of you guys here. Maybe tell me which one you actually like better. So this is another version of that same song. I think this one that you just listened to is probably the final version, but here's a slightly different one. Let's see if we can bring this up. There we go. Again, warning, this is heavy metal. Apparently somebody already thumbed it up. Can you guys actually, here, I'll post the link to this to see if you guys can see it. You might be able to see it.
Our God is a mighty God. He stands eternal and strong.
The other intro is
with
so much stronger.
power, justice, and truth. Our God is a mighty God. Our God is a mighty God. He stands eternal and strong with iron and flame. Justice forged in the void, light that crushes the dark. Our God is a mighty God. Heavens tear open, worlds tremble at his battle march. Every darkness, every tyrant, every curse will fall when the Messiah rises and announces the final call. He splits the seas with a roar like a lion, commands the legions in celestial advance. The lightning his hammer, the thunder he wields. He vanquishes evil and makes the broken healed. Our God is a mighty God. He stands eternal and strong with wrath and glory. His voice shakes the cosmos, writing the story. Our God is a mighty God.
I like that riff.
He stands eternal and strong with power, justice, and truth. Our God is a mighty
Yeah, they're two completely different songs. The first one I like more so far, but this one has kind of a fun vocal quality to it. That humming is kind of fun.
Our God God is a mighty God. He stands eternal and strong with power, justice, and truth. Our God is a mighty God.
They're both fun. They really are both fun. I love it. The other one, I kind of like this one a little bit better, I think.
Our God is a mighty God. He stands eternal and strong with power, justice, and truth. Our God is a mighty God.
That one's a little bit cleaner. That's the one I posted the link to in the comment. Let me know if you guys can see that. Can you guys see that? I put the link in there. Did it show up or yeah, it's up there. Two different songs. Suno is not cooperating. It wants to make a song instead of letting me see yours. You may have to log in to see it. I don't have it published, which I don't like publishing it on Suno because then you get an influx of opinions, which I really don't care about. I care about your guys' opinions, not so much Suno's. So let me see if there's anything else I can do. See if I can make it published or public to those who have the link. Share to, copy link. Yeah, I don't know. You okay? Yeah, it's hot in here. Alrighty, everyone. I think that's probably it for tonight. Yeah. I think that's all I have to cover. Cool. Alrighty, let's see. I did, but it only wants to create a song instead of leaving it to you. All right, I probably will have to publish it when I've finalized it. I think we're set on this one. There was a couple things I was thinking about tweaking. We'll see. I'll as soon as I publish it, I'll let you guys know. Hope you put it in the YouTube. It will eventually make it into my album. I've got to reset up my publishing platform so that I can get it actually published out wherever you guys listen to music. Because I haven't made music in a while, so we'll probably I normally do when I start working on songs, I usually try to do them in groups of 7 so that we can do an album release, but this one is so good. I love it. This one is so good. We may do this one as a single because it's so good. You like the first one? I like the first one too. All right, guys. If you like this content, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to get notifications when we go live. I'm on here live 5 days a week, 4:30 Pacific Standard Time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. I really appreciate you guys coming here and going through the news and the posts. We're making history here by recording these things. I have a feeling that we're going to come back and want to know what happened on particular days if we happen to be right about anything. Even if we're only right about 1 or 2 things, it will still have been worth it, because that's kind of the whole point, is to capture the end times live. And you can say that you were here for all of it, most of it, whenever it is that you decided to come join, you participated. And I appreciate that. I really love that you guys are here. And I'm happy that you guys aren't turned off by the heavy metal Christian music, because it's very motivational. Like, that's how I feel about my God inside. And I'm sure it's probably how you feel inside, is sometimes I just want to scream at the top of my lungs, our God is a mighty God. God bless you guys. Shalom.